All right, BMX fans, welcome to episode 4 of the BMX Commentator webcast. When I first started making the plans for this webcast, I had a list of guests that I wanted to have on. And this particular person who's joining us today was definitely high up on that list. I know I say that about everybody, but if there's one person I wanted to have on, it was this particular rider. I am delighted and over the moon to introduce to you all for episode 4 of the BMX Commentator podcast, Mr. Barry Nobles. Good
What's going on,
afternoon, sir.
everybody?
How are you?
Good. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, good. I'm really glad you've been able to make it despite our little technical issues getting going.
Part of it.
I think probably I had an actual problem working out what I was going to do for this particular podcast because there's so many ways that we can go with it and so many things we could discuss. I honestly didn't know where to start. That was the biggest issue I had, I think, with planning this podcast out because obviously a lot of people will go through the timeline and that kind of stuff, and it's very tempting to do all that. But I'm kind of going to do that a little bit, I think, with this one, just to give people a bit of background into how you became the I'm going to use this word, the personality that you are today, the online personality, because obviously you're a rider as well. But I think the best place to start might just be to give people a bit of background, would be kind of that transition period going from elite to vet. Can you kind of run us through that a little bit and just let us know how all that came about?
Yeah, going from elite to vet, it wasn't even part of the plan, you know. I mean, I honestly remember being in my 20s thinking, if I were to ever race vet, I'm not gonna do it till I'm like 40 or something, you know. It's just the image, I guess, for a young elite rider. You look at the vets as just the old dudes, right? So that was never even really on the radar. I stepped away after 2016 Olympic run, and that's when I kind of stepped away from BMX for a little bit and just kind of focused on just some other goals I had for cycling with mountain biking and freestyle stuff. And yeah, I was just kind of all eggs were in that basket for a few years. COVID happened, everything stopped, and just here I am. I just decided to race. USA BMX did that winner take all championship for 2020, and we weren't doing anything else. I was like, oh, well, that was 6 months away. So I thought, well, we'll just go race this. We'll go race this vet race, one time thing, and then things will be back to normal, and I'll go back to what my goals were, you know. And here we are, 3 seasons later, still doing it.
Yeah, because that was one of the questions I was actually going to ask you. Was there a conscious decision to come back to BMX racing, or was it just the way that things happened with the COVID side? And like I said, because I've been watching all your vlogs from pretty much minute one. I actually went back through your YouTube history today to kind of see where those regular vlogs started, and it was kind of round about that phase where you came back to BMX racing and
Yeah,
things of
the
that nature.
true
And
the
you've done
true
some
vlogs for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, it wasn't really I don't yeah, it was purely COVID, really. You know, I've always ridden though. Like I just want to experience everything I can with two wheels. And yeah, I even when I stepped away from racing elite, it was not even that I was really stepping away. I was just like, I'm just gonna take a break and go do this for a little bit. But man, those years just go by really quick when you do that, you know. So yeah, it was not part of the plan. It was just me riding bikes and just kind of following where the journey took me.
Okay. So is that where you decided to take YouTube a bit more seriously as well? Was that just a coincidence?
Um, we, yeah, I actually wanted a YouTube. I've had a YouTube channel since 2011. I've wanted to push it. Depending on how deep you go, I have a few things hidden, but there's a lot of older vlog style stuff that I'm actually doing now, but from years ago. But um, I wouldn't say my whole personal life really supported that at the time, you know. And so I didn't have like the backing around me every day to do it. So there's definitely stuff out there, but it was definitely me trying to do it on my own and kind of wanting these others to contribute to it, but it just never really worked out. So when um yeah, when I stepped away, when I moved from California to Alabama, and I bought this property so I could build my dream compound, and I was like, well, I'm going to film, I'm going to document all this, you know, not even if it even the goal wasn't to be this big YouTube thing, but I just wanted to document. I've documented my whole life, you know. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to film it, whether it does well on YouTube or not. I'm just going to film it because this is memories to look back on, you know. And it just started snowballing from there. Once I got here, I cut so many distractions out of my life. My whole personal side support system was 100% into what I was doing. So it just kind of really allowed it to happen super easy and organically.
Yeah, because I was quickly looking through the videos and saw the one where you said you bought your dream property, and there's no coincidence that the timeline for your YouTube channel starts from there, and everything starts to become a lot more consistent.
Mm.
Did you ever think you'd get to where you've got with YouTube?
Uh, you always want to grow, you know. Saying where we got, I mean, I look at it like I just post videos, right? Like the subscribers have gone up, but I mean, it's not like there's any great money to it, you know. There's people out there making good money, but it's hard. I just look at YouTube as just part of the image I sell, you know, and it's part of who I am. And um yeah, it's been awesome to see it grow. I never put like I'm gonna have 100,000 subscribers or I'm gonna have like a million subscribers. I never put that as like a goal. It was just kind of just be me, and if it grows, it grows. If it makes a little bit extra money, sweet. But I think people assume it's financially it's a lot better than what it is, but sometimes I wonder if it's even worth the time. But then I remind myself it's more about the memories and sharing my knowledge, whether it gets one view to one kid that betters himself from it, or it gets a million views and a bunch of people are stoked. It's just kind of who I am, and I'm going to put it out there, um whether it's financially helping me in any kind of way, but mainly because I just like to share. I like to share the stuff that I do daily, and knowing it's going to help a kid or two, then that's the reward for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I remember your kind of video where you celebrated, getting 100,000 subscribers, and then
Mm.
I looked today and it's at 175,000 subscribers. Have you noticed a difference in your audience as you've grown? Do you feel like your audience has changed, or is it mainly still like the hardcore
Um,
BMX fan?
I've definitely noticed. You know, that's one not weakness, but that's one thing I need to get better about is following those trends and actually seeing what people are liking. But um, at the end of the day, it's like whether I follow or not, I'm going to post the same content, whether I can or I can't post video because of life. It's like lately, I feel like I can't do enough. I haven't had time to do enough video stuff. So I feel like that's kind of slowed the progression down. As soon as I hit 100K, it's like it just skyrocketed. It moved so quick. And it's definitely slowed down a bit lately, but I've also been slowing down on it. So I haven't really been following the analytics as much as I should be lately, just because life has been at 100 miles an hour lately. But I really want to get back to pushing that YouTube stuff, and just I really want to reach out to more. My main goal is to reach out to more of the cycling audience, not just BMX. I wanted to show more of a lifestyle of two wheels, you know. I do miss riding the other disciplines and stuff like that. But no, I haven't. No, I one of the biggest things I do notice is when something goes viral, um, soon as it leaves our world of cycling, it's just the people out there are crazy, man. Just like the comments and the trolls and stuff like that. That's the biggest thing I really notice. But I mean, I feel like I just share such a like an inside of my life. It's like people at the track, they feel like they feel like they know me much more than definitely much more than I know them, you know. So the past year or two at the BMX races has been quite the eye opener on how many eyes actually see it and feel feel a lot closer to me, you know, which is cool. I'm really talkative guy. I'm friendly with everyone, but yeah, man, some races are it's pretty wild how many people watch these videos.
Yeah, what's the most random request you've had from a fan?
Oh man. That's a hard one because so many goes in one ear and out the other, you know. I'll circle back to that one. I can't think of anything at the moment. It's just a lot of it is just kind of I get a lot of free stuff. Give me this. Can you give me this? You're doing so good. Can I have this? And those kind of you get kind of blurred by all those, like, God, stop asking me this. I'm not giving this stuff away, you know. So a lot of those requests kind of get blended in with the frustration of stop asking me for stuff.
Yeah, you can take 50 jerseys a weekend to a national and give them all away to kids who ask.
You know, a prime example, jerseys, man. Everybody thinks we get these unlimited amount of jerseys. Like, we get 4. You know, it's like I get 4 new Chase jerseys, and our new jerseys. I think our jerseys just arrived a couple weeks ago, and it's April now. You know, so everybody, and I give away everything at the end of the year. Come Grands in December, I like allocate stuff to give away at Grands and stuff for like special Christmas presents from like special requests from parents, you know, that have like some kind of story or something like that, because everybody wants something free. But yeah, there's only so many of them, and I give them away. And then people ask me in February for jerseys. One, it's the beginning of the year. Like, you want a brand new jersey when we more than likely just got our jerseys, and you just, yeah, people don't realize we get just a handful of them. It's not like we have like moto guys get 50 through the year or whatever the case. But
Yeah. If Pete Deluski's watching this, I think he needs to up his jersey budget a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother, yeah, that they're getting new jerseys. We're gonna have new jerseys this year, that's for sure.
Awesome. With regards to the YouTube stuff, then, who would you describe as your inspirations as a content creator? Because I think everybody's influenced by somebody. Who influences you to create the content that you create? Do you watch people online and go, I really like his style, I like what he does, I might do that, but do it a little bit differently, that kind of thing?
Yes, I watch. That's a tough one because I don't watch as much. I don't study as much as I should, because as big as BMX is for us, right? It's still such a niche sport. So I do watch these other creators, not really other cycling creators, because sometimes it's frustrating. I'll see some mountain bike guys that like, not talking bad on anyone, but I'll see some content that's just garbage. And it's like, man, mine's way better than this. I put way more focus into it, and some things are just like holding a GoPro all day, you know, and their views and their engagement are way better than mine. So some of that stuff I don't even like to take note of, whether it's doing good or not, because the quality is not what I would want to put out there anyway. So I'm like, well, this is irrelevant for me. It's like I'm not gonna downgrade my stuff to make it, if this combination works that they do. I really try to watch a lot of the other big time creators and see what their tricks are and stuff. At the end of the day, I'm just a one-man show, and it's filming one video is one day of filming, one day of editing, and I got to blend that into being a dad, being a husband, still trying to train as if I'm an elite athlete. And yeah, so I kind of take some of it with a grain of salt. I'll watch a lot, especially if on road trips. I'll throw it on and listen to. Usually, I'm listening to something that's talking about new algorithms and how social platforms are working. And because as soon as you figure out something, as soon as you figure out one platform, there's another one changing, or as soon as you grasp how this one works, they've changed it again. So I'm more kind of focusing on how the social platforms work and how the spread can continue and reach a broader audience, more than just watching other creators. Because yeah, sadly, some of it I just get bored. You know, I'm not one that sits, not anything to the creator. I'm just not. I'm go 100%, like 100 miles an hour every day. So sitting down to watch TV or YouTube, it takes a lot of discipline for me to sit down, and I have to be wanting to learn something in the moment to sit down and watch a video for 10 minutes.
Okay, because that was going to be one of my other questions as well. How do you prioritize, I suppose, everything that you need to do? Like you say, you're a father, you're a husband, you're training, you're a YouTube creator. It must be very difficult to kind of juggle all that kind of thing. So would you just kind of like batch it, suppose, like you'd spend a day editing or a day filming? And is that probably the best way to kind of put that stuff together?
Yeah, I'm noticing more and more I really have to prioritize for it. Cause like when you go back and you look at those vlogs, when everything's really kind of taking off, I wasn't trying to go and win a vet title. I was just racing because I enjoyed it, right? I was training because I enjoyed it, but I wasn't trying to be that 1% better to stay out front. So my priorities were video and stuff. And now once I signed with Chase, it's like, all right, cool. Now it's time to win the title. That was 22. So my content slowed down a bit because I had to put more focus into my training, and I'm learning so much now that I should have learned in my 20s, but I'm learning how you're either going to be you're going to be the rider no matter what class you're in, right? You're going to be that rider that's giving it that extra 1% to make sure you're winning nearly every race or being consistent, or that extra 1% is going to go into your content. And I'm noticing in the last year or so, it's hard to balance if I want both. I can't really have both. I can't put out the amount of content that I want to put out if I still want to be the guy that's gonna consistently be up front. And I'm looking at it like I'm getting older, right? So if I'm out front, I'm out of the way of traffic. It's less risk of injury, and it's tough, man, because my true passion is the content. I want to do more video. I want to get back to the YouTube stuff, but now I'm in this weird transition. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to sacrifice winning, right, to be able to do that. So I'm in, it's been big answer to your question, yeah, it's been like an ongoing 6 to 8 month thought process. Like, how do I transition away from this? Like, still be the rider who I am now, but I need to put more video out there. Putting this video the video content is what's made me who I am today. Like the racing is all good, but that's just like icing on the cake, I would say. It's like my content is what's really built my brand bigger in these last couple of years. And again, I love to do that. That is my true passion over anything, just riding and sharing my journey of riding bikes. Winning is cool, but yeah, that's got to start being second priority here soon, because I want to do the video stuff. And it's a hard balance, man. It's getting an older Willow gets. She's 3 now, and I'm starting to do cool videos with her, which is just so much fun. And even that, like, I'm doing videos with her. That's a day out of filming. We have something later today we have to film. That's going to take me a couple hours. Then I got to edit it tomorrow, and then that's going to get in the way of the 2 other videos I have in my editor right now that I got to finish for YouTube. So that's 4 days of stuff I just listed, and that's not even including my training and everything else I need to do to maintain my job.
Yeah, because I think once you've got a situation where you bring in the family into the equation as well, and it's a whole other layer of storytelling, it opens you up to a bigger audience, because you see these families who do stuff online and they have vlogs and they literally have millions and millions of subscribers and travel all over the world. I mean, I don't know if you've got that as a target in mind. Something tells me that you probably haven't. But if it grew that way, then obviously your racing would have to take a back step. Do you see like a long-term future with the YouTube stuff? Do you see yourself doing it in 5-10 years time?
I hope so. If I were to, my 5-year plan, I guess it's been the last couple years. When I came back to racing, when I had that injury a couple years ago, right before Grands in 22, that was a real eye opener. It's like, man, like I still physically can do this. I know I can be fast, or I know I can go fast for a few more years, but I had that wreck, and I was kind of like, man, do I really want to? Willow and Kelsey were on the sidelines watching that, and want to limit that risk. And then I started thinking, I wanted to make it till Willow's around 5. And I'm hoping in a perfect world, I'm just brain dumping now. In a perfect world, she starts racing BMX. Like if she goes to any other sport, I can't really coach her in any other sport, but I know I can coach her well with BMX. And with the YouTube stuff, and it's kind of slowly going in the direction that I've been planning on it to go, because I want to start telling her story, and I want to do the YouTube thing, whether it makes money or not. Hopefully that's just part of why sponsors still support my program, because of the eyes that are on us through that, so like, again, whatever YouTube may make me, that's just a bonus. It's just part of the package I sell. And I want to continue to do this. I still want to go into my 40s in a few years and still be an athlete. I don't have to be out there competing, but I still want to go, and I want to do practice, and I want to like line up against a couple young dudes, just because it pushes me. It's like I still just want to see how good I can be as I get older, but the competition side is tough. So I'm hoping the competition side of BMX can slowly be Willow's side, if she goes that route. I try not to push her. I want it to happen naturally, but I mean, the way we're going right now, it's going pretty well, and she's loving it. So if I can start telling her story, yeah, it'll all be on YouTube as well. Because again, it's like I'll probably always do it because it's such a memory bank. It's like we still constantly go scroll through my own YouTube on the couch all together and go and watch all the family ones. It's like opening up a photo album, but we're reliving all these moments. And that's my biggest drive for my YouTube content is if I put this out there, it's like memories we can keep reliving, and then other people are stoked to see it. So it's like, cool, well, we can make our living around sharing this life that we have, and yeah, goes on and on.
Yeah, I mean, certainly everything I've seen lately with Willow, I'm sure I mentioned to you at one point before that you might as well just rename the channel Willow Nobles, because she was slowly
Right.
becoming the star of the show. And certainly there's a little personality in there just waiting to get out. And it's good. It's nice to watch her grow up and see your progression as a family. And it gives you an extra layer of storytelling if she becomes involved. And everything I've seen on social media lately says, yep, she's going to be a little racer.
Yeah.
So that's
I hope so.
absolutely awesome to see.
Yeah.
Just changing gears slightly. You've got the brand NineFive Ride Co. Obviously, I can see the T-shirt in front of me at the moment. Was that just a natural progression of doing what you did with YouTube, and how much of that has started to grow in the last, let's say, 6 months?
Yeah, it wasn't really a goal in the beginning. Kind of like, shoot, most of the stuff I do is just, if you can't tell already, it just kind of snowballs. It just, all right, cool, let's do this. There are certain things I look long term, but it's like I have a big picture, and then I slowly put the puzzles together to reach that big picture. So some of them just kind of slowly come as they go, and or go as they come. The 9-5 thing actually came from just people wanting merch. Merch is such a big thing for YouTube and all this. And I was not really one. I've never been one to want to just do the same thing everybody else is doing. Right. I mean, that's probably why I'm doing what I'm doing at 38 years old or 37 years old. And, but as much as I always want to do something different, it's like, well, I just don't want to be that guy putting another Barry Noble's merch shirt out there. I don't want to sell merch, but the requests were so often, it was like, I'm kind of stupid not to, And then I didn't want to have I didn't want to have something that just screamed like Barry Noble's fan, that's not the kind of stuff that I like to put out there. I just want to have a cool shirt. And then obviously 9-5 being my race number, I wanted to slowly turn into more of just Barry Nobles. I want you to look at 9-5 as just like a ride brand more than, oh, that's Barry Noble's company. That's my long-term goal with it. I know right now it's so attached But yeah, just the request came, and then I've actually, all this is my wife. Kelsey loves doing this side of stuff, and so I was like, well, I'll just approve it. You handle everything, and I'll just be the kind of the one writing the checks and saying yes to it. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's actually, I'm stoked we've done it because it's taken off well. We do smallish numbers every month. The goal is to put a new design each month. We're a little ahead right now, but then at the same time, a week goes by, then you're like, oh, we're not going to make one out for this month, So it's been a cool journey. I just want to share it as some kind of two-wheeled lifestyle. 9-5 kind of goes with like that 9 to 5 work day. Like that's not where it originally came from, but it just kind of works. It's kind of that 9-5 lifestyle, that 9 to 5 ride lifestyle type thing.
Yeah, it certainly ties in well. I watch guys like Harry Main and Matt Armstrong, who have both built really good merchandise brands off the back of what they do on YouTube. So I can certainly see how it all links together. If it's a case of like having to make a choice one day and going, yep, let's pursue this brand, this clothing brand. It's got legs, but we've really got to put the effort in and kind of dedicate more time to that. I'm thinking of a bit like Brian Deegan did with Metal Militia back in the day. It started as like a hobby and then turned into a whole animal on its own. And I'm pretty sure he ended up selling that brand. Would that be just like the icing on the cake? Would that be the big dream?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, shoot, that'd be awesome, right? But I mean, in a world like his, it's just so much bigger than BMX. Like my goal is I constantly want to be bigger than just BMX racing because there's just so much more out there. It sucks that we're such as far as numbers, we're kind of the smaller side of things as far as racing. So it definitely needs to turn into more of a two-wheeled lifestyle type brand to get to that stage. But yeah, that'd be awesome. I think Metal Militia, that was the beginning of stuff like this. The market's so flooded. Everybody makes a t-shirt nowadays. So I'm definitely not I'm not putting all my eggs into that basket. It's just one of many, many things that I have turning, one of many wheels turning in a part of my whole operation. So if it goes good, it goes good. Post racing, I have another. I don't know if you've seen my bike rack that I build for Harleys. It's it's a one of a kind bike rack that I designed years ago. Man, if I could have that built somewhere, I could quit racing right now and just focus on those orders that would hold me over. It blows my mind. That's something I really want to do. That's my product that I hope sells one day. And that's my retirement plan when that comes, is the bike rack. I wish I could do them now. I just don't physically have the time. And I literally don't even sign into that Instagram anymore because the amount of order requests I have are and I just can't get back to it. It's just so long, which is great, but it's like, I feel bad because I put this cool product out there that I can't fulfill it right now. So, because I make them all custom per order in my shop by myself. And that's another day of building. Second day is paint and shipping. Like, not enough time in the day. I need a bigger operation, that's for sure. I haven't found those resources yet.
That's the Southern Customs thing, isn't it? Is that right?
Southern Class, yeah, Southern Class.
So, yeah, I knew it was Southern something or other. I have got a note of it written down here. It was one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. But it's really nice to know that you've got, all these irons in the fire and you've got different ways that you can turn. At least you'll never get bored. That's one thing for certain.
Oh, I do not get bored. I don't know I don't know what that's like.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, that one's fun, man.
Yeah, I can't do an interview with you for the podcast without talking about Glasgow Worlds.
Okay.
How was that for you? How was that entire experience?
It was cool. Part of, what was it? I'm trying to think of a number. So 2023 Worlds, I took my mom. And it was 20 years since my first world championship in Perth, Australia. I was 16 years old, racing the 17 plus class, and yeah, won the worlds there, which was cool. And it wasn't something I even realized until pretty much right as we got to Glasgow, that because I had no intentions of going to worlds last year. I even had to like get some strings pulled to even get registered, because when I finally decided I was going to go, it was past registration. It was way too late. So I had a sweet talk USA BMX. Luckily they made that happen. They got me in there, and really I was putting all my eggs into Rock Hill this year. I'm really enjoying BMX domestically right now. We did so many years of doing these international World Cups and flying all over the place. I was just so burnt out. So when BMX started really kind of picking up more, all right, we're doing all these races, we're on chase, like taking things more serious again, this and that. I really enjoy just getting in the van and traveling around America. Getting on a plane is miserable to me nowadays. So I was thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna put all my eggs into Rock Hill. Like I'll focus on that world champs, and I'll just be on one world champs. It's like the Masters world title is never like this huge goal that I wanted to achieve. Well, I went to Rock Hill, did a couple races there, and by the time I did 3 main events in a row where I didn't make it out of the first turn, I was so fed up with Rock Hill that like I love Rock Hill. Rock Hill is one of my all-time favorite tracks ever. I was there for the grand opening 2013. Now that I have to ride the small hill, I hate that track so much. And the track's beautiful. It just doesn't work. The speeds that we're going just doesn't work for that small hill. So after so many wrecks, I'm like, I gotta go. I can't. I don't even want to do Worlds this year. I hate to put all my focus into this. I go and crash in a moto or something. So sorry, rambling on. But so that's where Glasgow came up. I was like, well, let's just go to Worlds this year. It's a nice big open track, like the type of tracks I actually love to race. Let's do that Worlds, and I don't even worry about Rock Hill. And so yeah, everything was super last minute. I went there. All the pieces were kind of coming together. Like my training was going really well. It's just, all right, let's go get this. And I was kind of I needed a boost. I won the vet title the year before, and which was cool. It was awesome. But again, it was more about the journey getting there and getting like the Pro of the Year award. Like all that stuff meant the most to me. All that stuff was priority, not so much like the vet cup. I really wanted it. So once I got it, it was like, okay, cool, check that box. And to think about doing it for a second time, it was like, I mean, wasn't a high goal, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let's switch that goal to world champs. That'd be cool. Maybe we can get a jersey, right? So yeah, did it. Everything went perfect. Obviously had that crash that kind of was a little, just got some drama brewing in that third moto, and yeah, everything went to plan at Worlds, man. It's just my game plan coming in. I started working with Domingos Lamoglia. I had something properly structured. I've been doing my own stuff up until that point, but I just needed something after coming off that year with little motivation. I needed someone else to tell me what to do. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just going to follow this plan, follow through. We're going to get this race. And yeah, we got there, and literally everything just checked the boxes. Everything kind of was autopilot that weekend. It was a great weekend of racing, and learned a lot about myself mentally through that. And yeah, Glasgow was one that I'll absolutely never forget. It's there's a lot of cool memories from that weekend, and now I'm able to have my own, not the traditional rainbow jersey on the wall, but it's a rainbow jersey on the wall. It's cool to see. So yeah, but then everything was, the lead up to that was so well, it just kind of helped me for the rest of the year, and I was able to finish out get another title with USA BMX, and it's been cool. It's been cool.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the track at Glasgow when you got on there for the first time? Because obviously you'll have seen it on video and that kind of stuff. And when you walked into that arena and rode that track, what were your thoughts, and what are your thoughts on it compared to kind of some of the stuff that you ride in the US?
Oh, I felt right at home, man. It was a relief, to be honest. I love racing here in America, but our tracks are are pretty lame nowadays, to be honest. Everything's just so mellow. And so to be overseas, but it was like my early days of BMX, you know, like that. Glasgow was just a track that fit my personality, fit my style of riding. I hate that we couldn't ride the pro set. That was kind of a bummer. But dude, that track was sick. I loved it. Besides the limestone that I'm just not used to riding on, and I've always hated that stuff. You know, I know it's nice, and I know the purpose for it. We're just not used to it. You know, so being in the States. So yeah, dude, it felt so good to ride that track. If to have any local that has that track. I mean, I use that track example, but you guys have so many nice tracks over there, or pretty much anywhere outside of America. Nice technical, deep tracks with jumps, nice big wide open. It's good to be able to come out of turns and just open it up. You know, we're BMXers are sprinters. There's no reason we should be held back by certain obstacles or something. Like the best feeling is come out of a turn and just open it up and just sprint as hard as you absolutely can, you know? So that track was awesome. It was like just technical. It wasn't too technical, but it was like just enough where I couldn't go and like first lap it, have it dialed. You know, it took me a couple laps to feel good on it. But when I have a track that I enjoy riding, it's easy to race, you know, just because I love going fast on it. And that was one of those tracks. There's a lot of tracks we have here that's like, especially 4 years into racing vet now, it's like, oh, we got to go back to that track. You know, it's just then it feels like a job. Like, all right, just got to check the boxes, get through your motos, get through your main, get through the weekend, right? And but when it's a track like Louisville, for example, it's not what it used to be, but that's a track like, all right, I'm excited to race this weekend because I love to race this track, or I love to ride this track. Glasgow was one of those. It's like, dude, I would go back right now if we had a race there. I would love to race that place again.
Yeah, bizarrely enough as well, they don't hold a round of the UK National Series at Glasgow. It tends to only be used for kind of the bigger events. We've had the Euro Championships there. We had one national there. We've had the Worlds there. That's basically been about it for races and events at that track at Glasgow. It's not as well utilized as I think it should be, but that's a whole other story for a whole other day. The race itself, obviously, you had the likes of Kyle Evans in there with you, Cal Strickland, you know, a few other guys. I think there was a couple of French guys in there who could have possibly given you some stick, some trouble in the turns and stuff. And then Moto 2 came along and you took that big old fall and left with some Glasgow limestone in your elbow. At that point, did you think it might not be my day, or did you just keep the faith all the way through?
Well, for some reason in that you get in such like tunnel vision, right? Like for some reason when I crashed, my immediate thought was I just threw it away as if I was in a semi. It's almost like I forgot what lap I was in, you know, and it was third moto. So I won my first two motos, so I was sitting fine in points, but I don't know, just I hit the ground and immediately just thought there's a video of me like what the, you know, I'm just pissed at myself, but because I just thought like you just threw all this away, you idiot, you know. Then it was like, wait a minute, this is third moto. We're good, you know. Let's go get patched up and get back to it. So yeah, in that brief moment, I was just kind of lost where I was, because I say this next statement just because it's so much I've learned about being a racer. I'm so much different of a racer these last few years than I was all through my elite days. I've said in other interviews, I used to have so many distractions, which I wouldn't change any of that. I just want to have all these experiences. But now my life is so much more simple and easygoing. And now I'm like, this is all my fun of riding. I just want to win now. And I'm just really enjoying the process of I mean, not the winning, but I'm enjoying the process of pushing myself to be that guy that can win every time, and learning the consistency, because more I learn about myself now and how to develop this consistency, more I can pass on to someone else. And or like that kid, that younger me who was trying to look for this information and didn't know the questions to ask, and hopefully I can just put it on YouTube and it's going to reach those kids, you know? So going into that race, I was in such like a focused tunnel vision state that like I don't want this to sound cocky or anything against anyone else, but like I had this gut feeling that I just knew I was going to win that race, you know? So it was real easy to not like have any nerves. It was like I was nervous, but I had a really calm about myself. And I'm sure I got to that state because of the process I went into leading into the US 22 USA BMX Grands. I had to learn to be consistent. I had to learn to go into that race prepared. And now Worlds, it's like, this is one lap. I just got to do it one lap. You know, I don't have to do it all year, be consistent, and then be consistent in 3 mains at Grands in Tulsa. It's like, you just put together one lap. I put together laps all year for the last 2 years. You know, I put together all my laps leading into this main event. It's just, I'm in gate 1. I'm exactly where my goal was to be in gate 1 of the main. Just do the same thing, you know? And I was like, so just calm and easy. And it just worked exactly as planned, you know? So even then it was like everything that was processing in my head, like, dude, this stuff works. You know, it's like, I know I'm processing it right. So I just got to figure out how to share that, you know, or if I start training that one kid, like, hopefully he listens to like, this is what worked in my experience, you know?
Was that a natural thing, or did you do anything specific in terms of sports psychology?
No, nothing at all. I just, dude, I'm living in Alabama, and I don't have the distractions that I've always had, you know, back in 2008 when I was winning ABA USA BMX races. I was up for the title that year. I was the same way. I hadn't moved to California yet. I was away from so many distractions, and I was just riding my bike, enjoying myself and enjoying getting faster. And back then I had no idea how to mentally prep for all that stuff. But because of all those screw ups I had back then, I still think about those to the day. Okay, what situation was my headspace in back then? How did I choke? Who said something or who allowed me to choke by something I like externally I let in? So I just I've just kind of gone through and remembered all those days and like, okay, well, we know that didn't work. So now let's change this, you know? And I started doing that that went from wanting to win my first vet race, you know, to like, yeah, I finally got one. To, all right, how do we do more? Okay. Why did he beat me here? And learning how to be more consistent, like not that I'm doing anything crazy in my training, right? But I'm just being more consistent and understanding the process a little better. And okay, I'm strong. I'm just as strong as this guy is here, but why can't I need to pedal a little quicker, you know, and my legs need to move faster. So I need to be more flexible. I need to be more mobile, just stuff like that, you know? So it's been such a step. It wasn't that I trained hard for 3 months to win that world. It happened back in 2021 when I realized I kind of wanted to start winning these races, you know? So then 2 years later, you get it. So, and I say all this because all these kids want to start training and they get a month or 2 in. I'm not seeing any differences, you know, they want to switch trainers. Well, I have 25 years of building this BMX engine, right? Like I got a lot of base strength and a lot of base speed that I'm not going to lose. But it took me the last 2 or 3 years to finally learn how to actually fine tune it. You know, it's like having a fast car, but it's just tuned shit. You know, like you got a big motor under the hood, but it don't run properly, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just learning how to make everything run efficiently and that's like mentally and physically, you know? So that's been the most fun. That's why I say all this. That's like the most exciting part of these last whole few years, whether I win or not. It's like seeing those things that I used to screw up so bad. I'm like, whoa, they work now, you know? And oh wait, I can keep rambling on this. I got another one I can tie into that, but it's a whole nother topic.
No, I like rambling. Keep going. Honestly, it's absolutely
Well,
fine. If you've got something to say, just let it out, Barry.
okay, so You know, this is a good one. I've been wanting to talk about this, but I haven't had a way to talk about it. But I remember being that guy, like me and a handful of others, we just want to have fun on our bike, right? And we'd see someone like a Sam Willoughby or a Maris or a Connor who we would look at them like I have so much respect for those guys and what they've done, right? But back then I remember I would look at them like, oh, that doesn't even look fun. You know, like how they do BMX doesn't look fun to me. It's so focused and so just I'm just here to do this, you know. I just view BMX in a completely different way. Me and a few others, and those guys were the way they were to go and win. But that I wasn't. Winning was never really my like focus, you know. Well, now that winning is my focus, and I really enjoy the. No, I'm sorry. The process of being able to win is my focus, not the win that comes with it, right? But now I'm finding myself doing the same thing I saw those guys do, the same thing I always kind of thought, oh, that looks lame. But now it's like so enjoyable for me. So now I'm look back and I see like that's the enjoyment that they experienced with BMX in their early 20s, you know, and yeah, I'm just kind of realizing it in my late 30s, but it's cool to actually see that. Like I haven't spoken to any of them about it, but I assume that's the way they process BMX, and that was the fun side for them is pushing themselves, being that 1% better than that one rider next to them, you know. And yeah, it's just cool realizing that and being in a much more mature headspace about it, you know. And I look back, I'm like, dude, they were just younger and they understood it way sooner than I did. And that was, and it's cool being able, granted it is vet and masters, but it's still winning. It's still winning the class that you compete in. It's still checking the boxes that you wanted to check, you know? And so it's cool kind of getting my own taste of that nowadays and seeing what those kind of experiences were and how they probably mentally handled these big races that they competed in, which was their goals at the time.
Wow, that's quite eye-opening. That, like you said, some people get that kind of process-driven way of doing things quite early on, and like somebody like yourself, and I've been quite similar as well with kind of things outside of BMX as well with my work and that kind of thing. And I've noticed a very similar thing now as I've kind of got towards 50, so it's taken me a lot longer to work it out. But certainly, you know, if you can grasp that earlier, I think it's the ideal way for a young athlete to kind of get to their goals quicker. Have you got any advice for young athletes, young BMXers, mountain bikers, whoever it might be, who follow you? If you could give them one piece of advice, you just go, look, just follow this particular piece of advice and it'll take you a long way. What would that piece of advice be?
Follow your gut. I mean, I feel like that almost sounds cliche, but I am one that I make so many decisions off a true gut feeling, you know. And saying all that, I wouldn't even. I would not. If someone could go and change everything I did, and I had a different elite career, I would not change it whatsoever. I'm so happy where it's come, but I've gotten to where I am now, following my gut. You know, I wanted to do all this other stuff, like if you want to go be an actual champion, then just stick with that. But my gut and goal never said, okay, I want to be a champion. You know, I want to do all this other stuff. But doing all this other stuff has somehow still got me where I am at 37 years old, still doing this as my profession. And that's been my biggest goal my whole life, is to be a pro BMX, a pro bike rider. And I haven't seen anything. That's always been my goal. I want to be a professional bike rider. Not I want to go to Olympics. Not I want to be a champion, which sometimes I do wish I had that thought back then. But I just want to be a pro rider. So I'm just going to do whatever it takes to continue to be a professional bike rider. And those decisions have come from where my gut is focused on, you know. Okay, instead of fighting it, you know, we have so many guts. Oh, should we do this? Or should we do that? Like, dude, if I'm feeling like this feels good, I'm gonna go with it. If it doesn't feel right, oh, I really don't like going there's a lot of races I've skipped because I just don't. Something says I don't want to go to this race. I don't go to that race. You know, when I had a wreck 2 years ago, that was a prime example. I was purely there because it was right before Grands. It was a pro-am. There was a couple extra grand. Like, cool, I can make another 1,000. This could be like an easy $1,000, $2,000, whatever. I wasn't there because we're chasing points for the title, or I just want to go ride my bike. It was just like, let's go over here and work, you know? And I had this I didn't really want to do it, but I'm like, oh, it's too close not to go, you know? Let's just do it anyways. And I ignored that feeling and ended up in the hospital.
Wow. Well, there you go, kids. Follow your gut. That's good advice from Barry Nobles. And just kind of taking a slightly different turn, but very similar. You were talking about training kids before and that kind of stuff. Obviously, you've ramped things up with your clinic tour now. How has that progressed over the years, and how do you see that progressing in future years?
As far as clinics or training kids?
Yeah, clinics and training, just all that kind of stuff in general, because I get a sense that you've got a passion for giving back, and obviously giving back via clinic tours and maybe training some kids in a bit more of an in-depth way. Do you see that as part of something you could be doing in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really want to go the route of training people because I don't look at myself. I don't feel certified enough to be like, all right, do this gym work. But I feel like I can really teach a kid how to ride a bike, you know? And when I travel around and reach all these different tracks, I see all these young Alabama kids just like myself, you know, like whether it's in the middle of some other state, there's so many tracks I go to is just have these kids that have no pro presence or better rider presence at their local track, which is how I was, you know, like I didn't know at 14 years old I was the good kid. I was the top rider at the track, you know, because we just didn't have it. So I didn't have anyone to ask, and it was so much just trial and error and doing things wrong, building bad habits. And so that's where I love going to these tracks and doing like skill-based clinics. My routine is changing quite a bit now because I'm starting to double up on tracks. I don't want kids to have the same thing over and over. But if I could do just basics of riding a bike, I really enjoy that because those kids, it's not as fun doing that, but those kids are like sponges, you know, those early ones that I could get to quick. We can build habits early. That's what I really enjoy to do. I'm sure there's a couple kids that I have my eye on that I want to work with. Actually, one I spoke to last night might be my first kid I actually start like training. And it's going to be just on like pretty much on like a buddy deal. You know, it's like, I just want to work with this kid. I want to see, it's my time to start doing what I've learned over these last couple of years and start implementing it into a younger rider and see if it actually works for the younger generation too. You know, it's like, this kid's good. He's not winning yet. And I know he's not going to get worse. So I'm like, you know, maybe this is my sign to finally start training someone, and he's going to be my little project in a way, you know. If it works for him, it can work with Willow in a few years. So yeah, but the clinics, I really enjoy those. I've been doing clinics, man, I've been doing clinics for 20 years. You know, when I was moved to California, I didn't do them so much because it's just California. It's not as easy out there. But yeah, as soon as I came back to Alabama, I started doing it. Actually started through COVID. I was doing like jump classes for the local mountain bike crew here in my town. And it was just going really well. I was enjoying it. I'm like, oh shoot, maybe I'll just start doing clinics again. And so yeah, I love being on the road. Rock Hill, I went to the national 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was a national where the vets didn't race, but it was the U.S. national champs. And I did a clinic on the way, and I just rode all week. And dude, it was one of my most fun BMX weekends I've had in so long. There was no stress of getting on the gate, having to compete, but I was still out there having a great time. Nick Long and I were doing laps, like shooting photos, shooting videos, just the content that I love to do more than I love to race, right? So man, I enjoy it so much I'll definitely be doing that more as we go. Never like, I'm not going to be out living on the road or anything, but I'll definitely be doing, I think, more more pop-up type camps is my goal. Like I have my summer tour coming up, so eventually hopefully I can start doing like a spring tour and then a summer tour and then a fall tour. And I really want to go through Australia. That's a goal. 25, 26. I want to do an Australian tour. Kaylin Young and I have been trying to figure that out. I would love to, like, say I fly into Sydney and I get a motorhome and I just travel across Australia. Like, how sick would that be? You know, it's like I've spent a lot of time in Australia, but I've never actually road tripped it. So I'm like, dude, like now if I can take the family, get in a motorhome, road trip Australia while hitting all these little tracks that just want to have some help and to show some guidance, like that's a dream, you know? So that's kind of the future goal on where things will slowly be doing, you know? And Chase is so supportive of everything I do. And I mean, as long as eyes are on us, then eyes are on the sponsors, right? So as long as the sponsors keep supporting the program, I'm gonna keep representing everyone proudly and hopefully sharing the story along the way and reaching kids. I'm not gonna slow down riding or training anytime, but yeah, eventually I'm gonna get tired of getting on the gate and competing and being late 30. You got these 29, 30-year-olds coming in the class now. It's like, man, I feel like the old dude again. I feel like it was just yesterday I was the old guy in elite, and now I'm like, and I get into vet just a couple years ago, and I was the younger dude. Now I'm the old guy again. Like, what the hell? Now these 29-year-olds waiting to turn 30. It's like, which I'm all for it. Like, you guys come on. It's like it challenges me, but at the same time, I'm like, 30 is too young for vet. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think they should make it at least over the age of 35 for vet.
Yeah,
So,
it should be. And it's, you know, it's cool. It's since USA, especially in the States, or American racing, since USA BMX got rid of A Pro, which I think was so stupid, just because A Pro is a stepping stone. You have to learn to ride in that category of racing. And but it pushed out so many riders, right? And that 21 to 28-year-old age bracket, it's like a lot of dudes just like, well, you got to get a job, you know? Like I can't go spend $200 for entry fee and not make it out of motos every weekend. So I hate that A Pro is out for that reason, but it's cool to see these guys in their late 20s, like, because we've put a new face on the vet pro and the master racing, I believe, in the States especially. And it's cool seeing these guys get motivated to come back into BMX at the pro level and being able to race, you know? So I encourage it, like, come on in. But at the same time, it's like, man, 29, 30 seems very young now. Like I was talking to one of them last week. I'm like, yeah, you're young. I know you're 30. You're coming up on 30, but you're a lot younger than I am.
yeah, that's definitely young for vet
Really?
pro. That one is absolutely. I mean, I've enjoyed watching, your battles with KJ Romero and everybody else, and the fact that you've done little videos together as well. And I've noticed on a couple of your videos you've been kind of almost taking the mick out of each other and nudging each other a little bit. Like KJ's like, yeah, I'm coming for you, Barry, and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
like that. I find that
Yeah.
really entertaining, and it gives another element to, to what you do. I mean, what do you think is the answer for these guys who want to be somewhat pro? I think is the best way to describe it, without getting eaten up in the pro class. Do you think there should be a replacement for A Pro? Do you think there should be some kind of other stepping stone class exclusively for USA BMX, or are they tied into kind of being in line with what the UCI do?
I absolutely think there should be. I think there is. I feel like there is like a bit of a hard space because you got we have Super X, right? Then we have Junior, then you have U23. So those stepping stones are kind of there, but it's like that. I guess I said 21 a minute ago. I guess like 22 to 28. There's still those dudes that are still fast. They're still fast. They still want to compete, but they're getting jobs. They got to get real. Like they didn't build the beginning of the years to help with sponsors, or maybe they should have that opportunity to get that good sponsor. And it's I mean, everybody talks about, oh, you're so and so's lucky because they had this, or so and so lucky. You either put yourself out there or not, and it's like in BMXs, there's a lot of BMXers that they're just going to focus on the result. Well, we're in such a different time. We're in such a different era. Like, it takes a lot more than just winning races, and no one really cares if you're getting third. You know, it's like hard truth, and you're going to be forgotten about by Tuesday. So you got to do this extra. You got to do all this extra work. Well, if you don't do all this extra work and you're out of U23 to 24, and you ain't making elite by 25, like what are you going to do? You know, and that's just, you're gonna have those riders, right? You're gonna have those lifetime A pros, which is completely fine. You're too good to be an amateur because you're a good rider, but you're just lacking that little bit to be that best. And you can't have a 9 to 5. You can't have all these other distractions if you want to have that extra 1% over that rider next to you and be the best, or be those top 3 best. And there needs to be a class for that, you know. And yeah, I know it's hard. I can't see USA BMX adding another class because it's filtering so many, especially when it's a UCI weekend. Like I said, Super X is huge here. And dudes could race that, but then you got to race it on the Supercross hill. Not every 26-year-old that needs to go to work Monday wants to go ride the Supercross hill, you know, and especially as easy as it is now. Like, it's not like you really snap out. Everybody's charging to the bottom because there's tabletop at the end. There's not much risk. So I don't know. I wish there was a class that broke it up, even if it was at these other nationals. I know they do those pro-ams, and I don't know. Seems so sporadic between the pro-am. If you're that guy that wants to race an A pro type race, there's no consistency in it. You can't chase like, all right, we're going to go to these goals. And not that you should be making a living out of racing these classes, but there's no reason you can't. I'm doing it in vet, you know. At the end of the day, sponsors sponsor you to represent their brand and make sales. And so if you can't make sales, then how are you going to make a living? You know, so it's like there's so much more you got to do than just go out there winning races. But again, I'm rambling, but it's like there's so many dudes that want to race, that are fast enough to race in a pro class, but just can't. You don't want to do any, especially racing amateur here. Man, I feel so bad for those 25, 29 class, whatever the class is. You race one moto, sit around all day to race a semi, and then all hours go by to race a main. Like, you go the weekend, you race 3 laps. Just wait till you turn 30, and whether you suck or not, at least you race 3 laps in a couple hours, you know, and it's fun. We have a good time doing it. You know, maybe you'll make it out. Maybe you'll make the main. Maybe you'll make it out. Whatever the case, but there just needs to be something for that group of riders, and I don't think we'll see it again because of UCI and Olympic stuff, and which is all great, but I think everything's so funneled to that direction. Yeah, the traditional A Pro, double A Pro stuff, I think that's pretty long gone. But hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe that comes back one day, you know.
I did get asked to ask you this question by a friend of mine who said, ask Barry, would he like to see the return of Pro Cruiser?
Nah, I wouldn't care. Honestly, I'm too short for Cruiser. Like, my short legs, like, I got a 30-inch inseam with a 20-inch wheel under 26 or 24-inch wheel under my bike. Like, I'm floating on a thin line right there, you know. And I did it. I really do enjoy. I just enjoy riding bikes. It's like riding my hardtail at a Crankworks event, doing a pump track race. I just love riding bikes. I love riding different bikes, like anything 2 wheels. I'm just having a good time doing it. I've had plenty of crashes on Cruiser from putting my ass in the back wheel, and you got all these guys with fenders on it. I don't care. We joke about it now, because back then when I was doing it, it was what I say earlier. I want to be a pro BMXer, right? Or I want to be a pro bike rider. So we get out there and compete. There's a class, like there's Pro Cruiser, there's money on the line. Well, cool. I'll be on the gate. You know, it's like, because this is my job and this is what I want to do as a profession. So, dude, the Cruiser was just like, it's just an ATM. We called it the ATM that weekend. You know, like a lot of I remember Dale Holmes and them used to always call it. That was just the ATM bike, and it sucks that it fizzled out once Olympic stuff came in, because it was another opportunity for. I remember we used to have Pro Open and all this other racing, but now everything's so focused on, we got to just focus on this one class, because that one class is what gets us to Olympics. so on and so on, which is great, you know. But it's just a lot less stuff. Like dudes were used to be able to make good money off Cruiser and Open and all that. So it sucks to see it gone in that reason, but I have no intentions to be back on a Cruiser again. That's for sure.
No, that's fair comment. That's fair comment. So I think before we wrap this up, Barry, I always give people the opportunity to say, you know, thank you to the people who've, you know, supported them. And I know you've got some long-standing sponsor relationships with the likes of Fly and Maxis. Is there anybody out there that you want to shout out to before we wrap this up and just, you know, say thank you and just give people who've supported you a little bit of, you know, a shout?
I mean, first to be my wife, Kelsey, you know, like we have such a good team dynamic going on. This whole life we have now wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for her. She does so much behind closed doors, and then Chase Bicycles for getting me on board. I mean, that's still to this day, it's like such a dream sponsor to be on. It's like the GT days way back in the day when all the kids see these big factory trailers. That's what I feel like now, you know, and it's such an honor to be with those guys. Mercedes-Benz for getting, like, they've completely flipped my life 180 with that partnership. Yeah, Fly, Maxis, 20 years of just supporting what I do, you know, and they just completely trust just Barry's gonna do his job well, you know, and they just know that at the end of the day. ODI is one of those other long time ones that are the same way. They just want to be part of the program. So if it wasn't for all of them, it's like they're what all makes this life possible. It's not the YouTube stuff or social media stuff. That's just part of me, but it's those supporters supporting me, which supports BMX is what's cool. Or Mercedes is the prime example. They saw potential and support this BMX guy, and that's awesome, you know. So very grateful for all them, and have just a good support network, and hopefully it doesn't change anytime soon.
No, and I'm looking forward to seeing you being on the gate for, you know, at least a few more years to come, Barry. And I always enjoy watching the content. I'm part of the notification squad. I get notified as soon as one of your videos goes live. So you're in my regular rotation. So yeah, I just love what you do, and I'm sure, you know, from the conversations that I've had with other people, they all enjoy your content. So yeah, it's ace. I just really enjoy it.
Well, thank you. That's my goal. Like I said, I want to get back to doing that, and doing that may slow me down at racing a little bit, but yeah, that's where my passion lies. I want to get more. I want to stop loading my back up with weights so much and start holding the camera a little more again. So I know I rambled on a few times. I didn't stop you from asking any certain questions, did I?
No, not at all. I'm quite happy for you to keep talking. So yeah, it makes my job very easy.
Nice. Very cool.
Cool. Barry, thank you so much for your time. It is appreciated. And yeah, just look forward to more content in the future.
I enjoy the chat. I'll see you in Rock Hill.
Yep. See you in Rock Hill. Thanks very much.
See you then. Later.